In a modern hospital, a beam of concentrated energy targets and destroys a cancerous tumor, saving a life. In the desert of New Mexico, a terrifying mushroom cloud blooms, demonstrating the power to end all life. One is a cure, the other a curse. And both were born from the same dangerous code, unlocked by one woman who paid the ultimate price for her discovery. This is the story of Marie Curie. She was born Maria Skłodowska in Warsaw, in a Poland that was brutally oppressed and occupied by the Russian Empire. From a young age, she was a prodigy, a brilliant mind with an insatiable hunger for knowledge. But in her world, that hunger was a crime. Women were forbidden from attending university. So Maria joined the Flying University, a secret underground school where Poles defiantly taught in secret to keep their culture and knowledge alive. This rebellious spirit was forged in the crucible of her upbringing. As a young girl in a nation fighting to maintain its identity, she was taught by her father, a professor, to value knowledge and patriotism above all else. She attended the Flying University not just as a student, but as an act of political defiance. This experience instilled in her a profound understanding that knowledge was power, and that the systems designed to keep people in their place were meant to be challenged. Her entire life would be a fight against the restrictions placed upon her, first as a Pole, and then as a woman. It was her first act of rebellion, but to truly pursue her dream, she knew she had to leave. With barely enough money to survive, she moved to Paris to study at the Sorbonne, a determined outsider in a world of men. In Paris, she met Marie Curie, a brilliant but overlooked physicist. Theirs was not just a romance, it was a meeting of minds, a fusion of two rebels who shared a disdain for the stuffy scientific establishment and an obsessive passion for discovery. They married and formed one of the greatest scientific partnerships in history. Their laboratory was not a grand institution, but a miserable, leaky shed, barely fit for storage. It was cold, damp, and poorly ventilated. It was in this shed that they would begin the grueling, physically demanding work that would change the world. Their quest began with a mysterious energy discovered by Henri Becquerel, emanating from uranium salts. The Curies set out to find its source. They developed a new technique using an electrometer, an instrument for measuring electrical charge, to precisely measure the intensity of the rays. Marie's systematic testing revealed a crucial anomaly. Pitchblende, the raw ore, was significantly more radioactive than the pure uranium that had been extracted from it. The only logical conclusion was that a new, undiscovered, and far more powerful element must be hiding within the ore. For 4 years, they performed back-breaking labor, manually refining tons of pitchblende, stirring boiling vats of chemicals with heavy iron rods. It was alchemy on an industrial scale. Through this process, she discovered her first element, polonium, named in honor of her lost homeland. But they knew something far more powerful was still hidden. Finally, they isolated it, a new element that glowed with a faint, ethereal blue light in the dark. They named it radium. This was the discovery of radioactivity, a revolutionary code that shattered a fundamental law of physics. The atom was not stable. It could decay and release immense, previously unknown energy. The cure had been born. The properties of radium were magical, almost supernatural. The element seemed to defy the laws of physics as they were known, constantly emitting heat and light without any apparent chemical reaction. It was a source of seemingly endless energy, a mystery that baffled the scientific world. This eerie, self-sustaining power added to its mythical status. It was not just a scientific discovery, it was a philosophical one, challenging the very foundations of matter and energy, and captivating the public's imagination. But the discovery held a dark secret. The cure was also a curse, and the curse would first claim Pierre. After years of suffering from mysterious ailments caused by their work, chronic fatigue and burns on his hands, a weakened Pierre Curie was killed in a tragic street accident in 1906. Marie was devastated, but she refused to stop. She took over his professorship at the Sorbonne, the first woman to ever hold the position, and continued their work alone, eventually winning an unprecedented second Nobel Prize in a different scientific field. The radium craze that followed was a spectacle of both incredible hope and dangerous, widespread ignorance. Radium was put into everything: cosmetics that promised a youthful glow, tonics that claimed to cure all ailments from arthritis to impotence. Even chocolate bars and toothpaste. The public was enchanted by this new magical element that glowed in the dark, completely unaware of its deadly nature. As Marie's fame grew, so did the horrifying evidence of the curse. The story of the Radium Girls emerged from factories in the United States. These young women factory workers who painted watch dials with glowing radium paint would playfully lick their brushes to a fine point, ingesting small amounts of the radioactive substance with every stroke. Soon, they began to fall horribly ill. Their jaws disintegrated in a condition called radium jaw. Their bones crumbled, and they suffered from agonizing cancers. The miracle element was a deadly, insidious poison. The code that Marie had unlocked was not a simple force for good. It was a primordial, dual-natured power, like a vengeful god that offered both miracles and agonizing destruction. Marie's personal sacrifice was immense. Throughout her career, she refused to patent her discoveries, believing that scientific knowledge should belong to all of humanity. During World War I, she championed the use of mobile X-ray units known as Petite Curies or Little Curies to help surgeons on the front lines. She and her daughter, Irene, personally trained hundreds of women to operate them, driving the vehicles to the front themselves. She knowingly exposed herself to even more radiation to save the lives of soldiers, a testament to her belief that her code was meant to serve, not to profit. Marie Curie herself died in 1934 from aplastic anemia, her bone marrow destroyed by a lifetime of exposure to radiation. Her notebooks, containing the records of her world-changing discoveries, are still so radioactive today that they must be stored in lead-lined boxes and can only be handled by people in protective gear. The curse would reach its terrifying apex less than a decade after her death. Her fundamental discovery of radioactivity and her daughter Irene's subsequent discovery of artificial radioactivity were the first essential steps on the path that led directly to the Manhattan Project and the creation of the atomic bomb. Yet, the Curie legacy is just as powerful. The same code she unlocked is the basis for all of modern nuclear medicine. Radiotherapy, the beam of energy that saves cancer patients, is her direct legacy. Carbon dating, which allows us to decode the history of our planet, is based on her work. Her story is the ultimate cautionary tale of scientific discovery. She opened a Pandora's box, unleashing a fundamental code of the universe upon the world. She gave humanity a fire that could either warm its home or burn it to the ground. And we have been grappling with that dangerous, double-edged legacy ever since. And that is the architecture of the discovery of Marie Curie. Remember, history is more than a story. It's a code, and there is always another layer to decrypt. Subscribe and continue the investigation with us.